So much for joining us tonight. A request from the city of Tyler was met with some pushback today at Smith County Commissioner's Court. The city's request deals with 2 tax increment reinvestment zones in which tax dollars from those areas are reinvested in the area. A plan with both support and opposition. City leaders came before commissioners asking them to extend the life of 2 reinvestment zones, one covering downtown Tyler and the other covering northern parts of the city. A plan through which the county would offer a 100% commitment and gain equal representation on each zone's board.
We're talking about identifying an area that's really primed for reinvestment, and then taking those tax dollars, the incremental revenue, back into that district and reinvesting into that district.
It's an effort Commissioner Ralph Caraway Sr. believes could be helpful, especially in the northernmost zone.
Well, for that area to be developed economically, with a lot of things coming, it changes the whole dynamics of the county and the community and the city because of the disparity that's taking place with economic development in the northern part of the county.
That northern zone was set to expire in 2038. While the downtown zone would expire in 2046. But the city says economic development, both guaranteed and expected, calls for an extension.
Sometimes it's just making sure that you give a district enough time to start to see that development and redevelopment.
Commissioner Terry Phillips voiced his opposition to the plan, saying the county will miss out on tax money generated in these areas, with no promise of development.
Leave it alone, and the county will benefit from it when those tours run out. Not any value to Smith County taxpayers that pay Smith County tax rates.
Also voicing concerns, Tom Fabry of Grassroots America We the People, who asked the court to hold off on making a decision until citizens had a chance to review the plans. A request granted when the court decided to postpone a vote.
I think postponing it, passing on the 2 agenda items was the right thing to do.
County Judge Neil Franklin says while the benefits for the county may be hard to see, he believes they're there, and pointed out each commissioner's precinct includes a portion of the city.
Even when I was commissioner out in my precinct, the southwest area, I went from the city limits all the way downtown, and so I had Bergfeld Park they were my constituents. So it's interesting how they overlap, and sometimes it's easy to forget that.
Now, to see the full presentation shown in Commissioner's Court today, scan the code on your screen or click right there on the big red box at kltv.com. You'll find a link under today's date.